I am Nahid Kabbani, and this is the Lighthouse for today's viewers. Welcome to our show. Today, we are here to tell you some information to remind you about Islam. We have in our studio our guest. I will let him introduce himself to you. Welcome to our show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
Do you mind to introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
My name is Mohammed Azeez, also known as Imam Azeez. I am the Imam at the Salam Center. I have been here for 8 years, married with 3 children, and life is good.
Life is good. Thank you very much. We know we gave some information in shows before about Islam. Today we are talking about Al-Hajj and Al-Umrah because you visited Saudi Arabia lately.
Right.
So what was the visit?
Well, the Hajj, which I think most people are familiar with, is the pilgrimage to the holy sites in Mecca, where people visit the 2 great cities, Mecca and Medina, in order to perform the rituals of the pilgrimage. Umrah is sort of like a minor pilgrimage, which is not Islamically required, but is something that is encouraged, because the Hajj is a very lengthy process, and it takes about 3 weeks, sometimes a month, and it's only required once in a lifetime. So people who are not able to go, possibly they're young, or they're not in the right health state, or they don't have enough money to spend on financially, they're not capable of dedicating $7,000 or $8,000 for the Hajj pilgrimage. So they only go for the minor pilgrimage, which is it literally takes about 2 hours to finish the Umrah, that is, and we go to visit Saudi Arabia, also Mecca and Medina.
Same procedure.
It's not as expansive as Hajj. So
the procedure,
it involves
what you practice.
It involves less rituals, so it doesn't involve going to the stoning of the devil and all that. It only involves the visiting of the sacred Kaaba, which is the big cube in the city of Mecca, and we also visit the Prophet Muhammad's mosque in Medina, and we get the satisfaction of being there while it's not extremely crowded, as it usually is, during the Hajj pilgrimage. And it provides a similar spiritual satisfaction, but we're still required to do the Hajj at some point when it becomes convenient.
When you are able to do it, you cannot loan money to go.
You cannot borrow money. You have to be able to afford it financially. You have to be able to afford it, health-wise. You have to pay off your debts before you go. And there's a whole list of requirements before you actually have to write your will and so forth. So many people are not at the level of being able to afford Hajj, so they opt for the Umrah, which is the minor pilgrimage. It's a beautiful experience.
That's wonderful, and for sure there is a lot of memories and pictures and things around.
Absolutely, and I will share with you a few of those beautiful photographs that we've taken there. But I think some of the memorable things that we've gone through is when we go for Umrah, it's as if you come home, right? Even if you're not from Saudi Arabia, I'm not of Saudi descent or anything like that. But when I go and visit Mecca, I feel that I've come home, and it is amazing to see people. I mean, you can tell right away who just arrived and who has been there for a few days, right? And the little quick test, the experiment that we go through is that we kind of sit next to the Kaaba and look at people's faces, and people who are crying like they're in tears, they are the ones that just arrived. And if you're there for a couple of days, you're not crying anymore. So this is what happened to us. The minute we arrived, it was 5 of us guys, and you see those 5 adult men in tears, like little girls. It's a remarkable experience, just to be there. And I think it's the only place of worship on the place of the earth where there's constantly hundreds of thousands of people praying and worshiping every minute of the day. And this has been the case for the past 1400 years. So anytime you go to Mecca, there's always people circumventing the Kaaba and performing the rituals of Umrah.
From all over the world.
From every single corner of the world. And that right then and there, it just reminds you of who you are as a human being. It reminds you of your place in this world. It reminds you that all of us are equal, right? Because we all dress the same way. We have to wear the white garments, reminding us of the true value and the true meaning of this life, right?
Simple,
because it signifies the shrouds in which the dead are wrapped before they're buried. And so you remember the day of judgment. You remember the simplicity of the world. You remember death, the inevitability of death. But most importantly, I think we remember that all of us are equal, men and women, young and old, white and black, everybody that comes from every part of the earth. They're all dressed the same exact way, addressing the same God, following the same rituals, saying the same supplications. And it's just, it signifies, in that moment, the unity of humanity, right? And it's just this remarkable way of bringing people together, sharing their experiences. I'll be sitting next to a guy from Bangladesh and eating my breakfast with a guy from Sweden, and doing my tawaf, my circumventing in a company of 3 people from Nigeria, and we're exchanging information, getting to know each other. It's a beautiful spiritual experience for us.
What is the difference with the quantity of people between Umrah and Hajj? How many people?
There is usually a lot more people in Hajj, because I think the Saudi authorities, they release numbers every year, and the actual numbers are usually a lot more than their estimates. So usually you're talking about 3 million people a year, right? But in reality, it's actually more than 4 million, because 3 million is people who have visited Saudi Arabia and officially registered for Hajj. It's usually a lot more that just go without necessarily informing Saudi authorities. So you're talking about 4 million people in a surface area that is not bigger than Carmichael, right? And it's just, imagine the nightmare of having to manage traffic, avoid accidents, making sure that people, eat at the same time and pray at the same time. If everyone goes to grab a snack at the same time, you're talking about, a traffic jam of historic proportions. So I got to give it to the Saudis. They're really good at the organization. I mean, you have many disagreements with the Saudis about other things, but when it comes to the management of Hajj, they've done a remarkable job.
That's great to know, actually, because no matter what people think about going someday to Al-Hajj, they're thinking about crowd, about hardship, about the service, how it will be.
There's got to be a little bit of hardship about Hajj, because that's the whole point. I mean, you're supposed to come out of your comfort zone and take that journey going to God, to remember the legacy of Abraham, Prophet Ibrahim, and his son Ishmael, and his wife Hajar. It's all about that. So it's all about leaving comforts behind and going there, experiencing hardship for the sake of God. So I honestly disagree with people who go there purchasing the $15,000 VIP premium package, staying in the 7-star hotels, wanting to be served, every second of the day. I think that is against the spirit of Hajj itself. So you want to be humble, you want to take the cheap package and stay in the tent and experience some hardship in order to appreciate the bounties that God has given you. So
that's the meaning of to feel the same level of the poor and rich, and
exactly,
because God doesn't look at the poor as poor and the rich as rich.
He doesn't look at any of them differently.
They look at their heart, their service for Him, not for money.
Yeah.
It is a great experience. That's why I was planning to have you at least to
Right.
let me know what's going on and let
Exactly,
my
exactly.
viewers share my
You,
viewers
you
the
asked
idea.
me earlier about some of the exciting things that we went
Mm-hmm.
through, and I got to say, I mean, the hospitality
Mm-hmm.
is just something that you always experience. I mean, you would think that because Saudis, they receive those people, every day,
Mm-hmm.
that they just got used to it, but there's still that sense of warmth about how they receive you, and I don't know, like this last journey was so facilitated in every step of the way, and it was almost magical. Like, God made available to us in every place we went somebody, like a local
Mm-hmm.
person with whom we've had a connection. Somebody I went to college with, or someone I worked
That's
with in the
nice.
past, or someone that was here in Sacramento and moved back or whatever. Just random people that come our way,
Yeah.
and they helped us so greatly. And they gave us those tours. They would take us to historical sites that other pilgrims, don't get a chance to see. Um, and it was just beautiful, and the food, so tourists, I mean, they're staying at hotels, eating Western food, right, all the open buffets, and so I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
interested in that, right. I wanted the real stuff. So they took us to those restaurants, very simple restaurants, where you literally sit on the floor and you eat this ancient food that people of Arabia have been eating, for thousands of years. That was a remarkable experience. We have a lot of photos for that, by the way.
And this is the first time you didn't go Umrah before.
This is my second Umrah,
Second
actually.
Umrah.
Yeah, but the
Oh,
first time I was just a tourist. This time we
uh-huh.
went down and dirty with everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really, really nice to hear that and shareable. You can tell that everybody will like to hear that and like to think about it because Umrah is easier, as you mentioned, easier
Right.
than Hajj.
Right.
And if an older person or people who cannot go for the time of the Hajj because of the hardship and thing,
Mm-hmm.
Umrah
Yeah.
will be
I mean, if
the
you've never
solution.
been there before,
No,
and you wanna.
I did long time,
No, I mean, I'm not asking you. I'm just,
long
anybody.
time.
If you've never been there before, it is actually better to go for Umrah first,
Mm-hmm.
just to get a taste of what it is or how it is to be in the holy sites. And there's a lot of people that wanted to come with me last time, but I really wanted to make this about me, and I didn't want to have like 100 community members. But this coming year, early next year, we're planning on
You
going with a
plan for
group.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, God
remember so
willing.
many people try to let you get notes to pray for them over there, to ask God to
on
help them
my
over
on
there.
my tablet
Yeah,
I had notes after notes after
yeah,
notes of people who are asking for prayers and stuff like that.
yeah.
So I had to smuggle my tablet to the holy mosque, because Saudi authorities, they don't like gadgets inside. So I have to
That's
to
wonderful.
smuggle it in my ihram,
Yeah,
my garments, and I go inside and I keep scrolling through the pages, and I try to pray for as many people as I could.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful. And I noticed that you visit other place, but we will have a break. Then you talk about the other place.
Sounds good.
We will have a break and come back soon.
You're watching The Lighthouse for today's viewers, brought to you by oneworldforyou.org.
So, at least we heard about Imam Azeez visiting Saudi, having Al Umrah visiting, and now we will hear about another place, excited place he visited. So, where did you go after Al Umrah?
It was a dream of mine, since I was a kid, to get to visit the three holy sites in Islam, and make it. We always, when we go for Umrah, we always visit Mecca and Medina, right? The two
Mm-hmm.
great
Mm-hmm.
mosques. But I wanted to make it like a three-pronged visit this time, and also, catch some excitement and spiritual growth at Al Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. And like I said, that was a dream of mine, because I think for most of us Muslims, the whole idea of visiting, Palestine and the occupied territories and Jerusalem is completely excluded from our plans, right? Because there's always this notion that it's occupied by Israel and so forth, and we would be contributing to the pain and suffering of the people of Palestine if we just go there and visit and normalize the process and make things look okay. So I've lived like that, and I've grown up like that, thinking that way. And it's just this year, this time when I visited, I felt compelled, to pay a visit to Al-Aqsa, because I could not bear the thought that I could live my life and die without praying in Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third most important mosque in Islam. And so this time I put my foot down and I decided to go. And it was the journey of a lifetime for me. The stuff we saw, the people we interacted with, the places we visited, it was everything I dreamed of.
That's wonderful. You have pictures too?
Yeah, I have many pictures of the places we visited and the stuff we've done. We tried to stay out of trouble as much as we could. But it was beautiful. Like I told you earlier, I mean, there was always this someone everywhere we went that was there for us, that helped us out, that took us to places and stuff like that. So we traveled to Amman, Jordan, and there was a friend who was from Sacramento, moved back with his family years ago. He received us at the hotel. He knew about my visit through Facebook, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And so he knew I was coming. And he received us at the airport. Gave us place to stay at his own house, and he decided to take a break from work for 3 days, and come with his car and drive us all the way to Jerusalem and back.
This is Arab hospitality.
It was just amazing. Like I was like, "Are you out of your mind? You're seriously doing this?" And he insisted. I'll take a break from work. I'll go with you. And he stayed with us 4 days, right? So he drove us in his little Peugeot, very tight French car. We crammed like all of the brothers together, but we drove, from Amman north all the way to the crossing into Palestine, and then we drove down to Jerusalem and we stayed a few days there, and we drove back and so forth. I think we were treated nicely, both on the Jordanian and the Israeli sides. But the Israelis kept us at the entrance for 5 hours, right?
This is normal.
Asking us all these kinds of questions and phone numbers and email addresses and what are you doing and this and that.
What about your Facebook? Did they ask you?
I mean, it's public information, so they're more than welcome to go and take a look at what they want. But they were generally courteous. But I was just annoyed by the spirit, because they knew we were Muslim. I mean, I am the Imam, and this is a group of my congregation. We're going there together. This is a spiritual journey for us. We just came from Saudi Arabia.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, obviously, we're just there for the spirituality of it. And they were just hammering us with these questions. They were trying to be courteous and used, brought us a couple of guys that knew Arabic. I mean, there was this guy in the immigration clearance, the passport clearance, and he spoke with me in perfect Egyptian Arabic. I could have never guessed that he's an Israeli, right? But then 5 hours there, we were stuck at the entrance until they cleared us all, and they were very apologetic. Guys, next time, don't worry about it. It'll be much faster and this and that.
You are on the list. You will be on the list. So
I'm on the list now, right? So I'm already in the system. And it's weird because I felt if I passed Israeli security, then I think I'll pass any form of security in the world now, right? Mm-hmm. So we drove south, in 1948 Palestine, all the way to the city of Jerusalem, and then our hearts were just like pumping, right? At the excitement of seeing the old city, once for the first time ever for all of us. And then we arrived in Jerusalem. It was after Asr time, like 5, 6 in the afternoon, and we ate dinner together, and then we walked, through one of the gates to Al-Aqsa. We prayed at the Dome of the Rock Mosque, and it was just again the amazement that we went through, and just being there and praying, knowing that is the place. I mean, in Islamic tradition, we believe that That is the place at which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, ascended to heaven, in the ascension journey, the Isra wal Mi'raj. And so, as a kid, you grow up with these stories, with these legends, and there you are, right there in the midst of it. You can see it with your own eyes. You can touch it, right? It was an overwhelming feeling, like we were in tears, right?
Yeah.
And so we finished that, and we walked. It's a very short walk from the Dome of the Rock to Al-Aqsa Mosque, and if you think that was remarkable, what we saw at Al-Aqsa was just the most extraordinary experience we've ever had. I mean, I dare to say I was more excited to be there than I was at Mecca and Medina, right? Just the history of this place, and being one of the very first places of worship to be created for men on this earth. It's just, and you're in the middle of it, and most people in my generation, don't get that chance. I mean, I'm of Egyptian descent, right? And so Egyptians don't visit Israel, right? They simply don't, and that's why Israelis or Palestinians in Jerusalem, they treated us with such hospitality, because they were amazed, like, oh my God, you're the first Egyptian I see in my life.
They are neighbors. But
we're their neighbors, but they never visit each other.
Yeah.
And so we
visited as American Egyptian.
Of course, I mean I'm an American citizen, but even if I'm going as an Egyptian, I mean, you can get a visa and go. I mean, the Israelis actually encourage Arabs, interestingly, because they want things to be okay. And so that's when it gets really sensitive. Should I go? Should I not? Am I contributing to the status quo? Or am I there to support the Palestinian cause? It is a tough and sensitive situation, both politically and spiritually for us. But we decided to just go, and I did not regret my visit. And I saw interesting things. I saw coexistence in Jerusalem between Muslims and Jews. I mean, maybe, thank God, things were peaceful for the duration of our trip. But I feel that people, if they talk to each other and appreciate each other's rights and feel that the other person is just as human as you are, and they have the same aspirations, and they want to raise their kids and just survive and be happy, I think much of that enmity might go away. But I'm an idealist. I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen. But for the purposes of our trip, we went there. We prayed at Al-Aqsa, and then the following day we stayed at the hotel. The following day, we ended up visiting, crossing into the West Bank, and that's when things just completely changed. Like all of a sudden, you're in occupied territory. It's not Israel anymore. This is the West Bank. So we went to Bethlehem. We went to Hebron, Al-Khalil, and we visited, Al-Haram al-Ibrahimi. I think Jews call it the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is a very important site for both Jews and Muslims.
Because Abraham is the father of...
of both, of all the Abrahamic religions, right? But see, I'm an Imam, right? And I'm, in my late 30s. And I grew up as Muslim, and I consider myself to be a pretty well-learned guy. And I did not know that Al-Haram al-Ibrahimi, the Cave of the Patriarchs, is called that because it actually hosts Isaac and Sarah and Abraham. They're buried there. I didn't know that, growing up. I guarantee you, most Muslims don't even know that because they've never thought of going there before, right? So it was just an overwhelming feeling for us to see that those great prophets are buried there. He is the father
for all religions.
And they're turning their face to the same God. They're worshiping the same God. They want the same thing to their families. And they both want peace. But then there's still this bulletproof glass that separates the Muslim side from the Jewish side at the Cave of the Patriarchs.
Because Jewish will take the initiative that it is our land, our God, not your God, not your land, that's the misunderstanding. They think this is only Jews and nothing after that.
And then I think we also see on the Muslim side, people that are saying the same exact thing. Yeah. So we are turning land, however sacred it might be, we are giving that land more precedence to human life. And that is I don't think that's the spirit of Islam. It's not the spirit
No,
of Judaism.
no.
It's not the spirit of any religion. The human life is sacred at the end of the
Yes.
day. You know,
And
speaking
we
of
worship the same God, and we follow the same rules, and we have the same Father, and we still fighting each other.
yeah, and
It
I
needs-
needed to see that, I think, for myself. I needed
Yeah.
to go there.
You did wonderful.
Yeah,
Now you
and-
can maybe help when you talk to people. You can help direct the idea that to use our judgment as a wisdom and think deeper how to look at the things. You know, to be able to solve it, and that's when the meaning of we address it in our show also for our American
Right.
viewers
Right.
to understand the subject and the point of view, and to share them, to let them share our thoughts, to be able to think with us and think with others, to be able to solve the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is part and parcel of what I've been trying to do over the years, and you get heat from
Yeah.
both sides,
Yeah.
you know, because you're walking that really fine line. I cannot, in good conscience, expect people who have been born and raised and lived for generations in a place to just pack up and leave, just because their grandfathers laid claim to a land that is not theirs. Now they're there, and that's the reality, and we have to respect their humanity, right? On the other hand, I cannot expect people to give up their claim to the land of their forefathers and their ancestors just because an occupying force kicked them out. You know what I mean? You're of Palestinian descent yourself, and these are very real questions for people.
Yeah, believe me, there is a lot of Israeli people like to talk, like to explain things, like to address the issue and have peace. And we had Nico Pilit 2 days ago.
Right.
Here's an Israeli talk about the same subject. He cannot believe what happened, what's going on, and he believes in living together. And if we open the subject for dialogue, it might be a solution. Thank
hope
you.
so.
And I thank you specifically for that visit, because you are a good educated person, and you will spread the message to your people
I hope so.
nicely. So after all, we cover that visit nicely. And
Definitely.
so after the break, we will talk about other part of Islam. So we'll have a break and we'll be back soon.
oneworldforyou.org, promoting cultural understanding through the media.
Again, time is flying always fast. And we are talking about part of Islam. And we will talk about other part of Islam coming soon. And we talked about it last year. The year goes fast, and we are here again. We are around Ramadan. So can we talk about Ramadan coming? What is Ramadan? And explain it again for our viewers.
The month of Ramadan is just a few days around the corner, and the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina is one of the fundamental pillars of Islam. So you cannot profess Islam without accepting the obligation of visiting the holy sites. Same applies to the fast in Ramadan. This is one of the pillars of Islam as well, in which we fast from dawn to dusk every day, from food and water and intimacy and so forth, for the duration of 30 days of the month of Ramadan. Ramadan is a lunar month, so it follows the lunar calendar, not the Gregorian calendar, and it follows basically the motion of the sun and the rotation of the earth around its axis, and so it depends. It's a seasonal experience. So every 33 years, it basically goes through one full cycle. And every year the lunar calendar is shorter than the Gregorian calendar, or the lunar calendar year is shorter than the Gregorian year by about 11 days. And so every year we're moving backwards like 11 days until it goes through that one full cycle in in 33 years. And so nowadays, Ramadan is in the middle of summer. So the day is very, very long, you know.
And hot.
And extremely hot. So it starts, you know, we start the fasting early in the morning, you know, 4 something in the morning, and then we break the fast around 8:30. So it's tough, you know, it's really tough.
From the dawn to the sunset.
Yeah, from dawn to sunset, and you know these are basically the times of sunrise and sunset in Sacramento. I wouldn't want to be in Anchorage, Alaska, in the month of Ramadan in the summer, because the day is going to be extremely long, and so we'll just break your fast for like 2 hours or something. But this is basically the experience of fasting in Ramadan. And yes, when we refrain from food and water, it puts us in that different spiritual state, because you're not focusing on your stomach, on your physical body. You're focusing on your spirit, on your soul, on your connection with God. But it also is an experience that is supposed to make us more charitable, to care about the poor. It's an experience that is supposed to help us be more caring about others, to exercise self-restraint, to be able to control our anger, to be able to control our passions, our desires. And I guess the notion is that if I refrain from simple, basic needs of the physical body, such as water or food, and these are permissible things by nature, the natural outcome is that I am more control of myself, and therefore I should be able to refrain from things that would make God angry. And so that, I think that is the spiritual essence of the fasting experience in Ramadan.
Also cleansing the body, helping the stomach to be rested and things, to change the routine.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at the health side of it, which is not often followed by Muslims, by the way, because sometimes people, you know, they fast, but they gorge on massive amounts of food at iftar time when they're breaking their fast, which is not only that this is unhealthy, I mean, it is antithetical to the spirit of Ramadan itself. But yeah, I mean, if you follow a good diet in Ramadan, you will likely lose weight. I mean, I usually lose, you know, between 10 or 15 pounds every year, which I normally gain right back after Ramadan is over. But, you know, I mean, you're going to lose a little bit of weight, you cleanse your body, you detox your body, and so forth. It really is an amazing opportunity for those who want to take it seriously.
Some people think Ramadan is too tough on as religion, and Muslim or Islam is tough because of, I believe the whole religions have kind of fasting.
Every religion has fasting, but before I talk about this, how many people get sick because of what they eat versus those who get sick because of what they don't eat, right? Unless you live in a place in Africa, you know, a famine-stricken place or something, and you go on for 3 or 4 weeks without eating, I mean, you're going to emaciate and die. But how often do you hear about people who get sick because they did not eat for a day, right? We hear about people who get sick because of what they eat, because they eat every day, right? So it's not the other way around. And I've never heard of anybody, young or old, that got sick or their health was affected because they were fasting, right? It's actually really cute and beautiful. Last Ramadan, I started at Salam this little experiment where I would recognize young children that are fasting for the first time. I think you were there. I mean, you saw some of those things, and parents and families and children were coming in hordes, right?
Yeah.
Fasting for the first time. So you see like 6 and 7-year-olds who their parents didn't tell them anything. They just heard that the Imam was going to recognize them and, you know, give them a little gift or whatever. And every night we have those kids that we're recognizing, mentioning their names and so forth. I mean, my son, who was 5 last year, you know, fasted like 5 or 6 days. My daughter fasted like 12 days. And this is how we encourage them at a young age to get their physical bodies to practice fasting and realize that at the end of the day, you are in control, right? You are in control of your body, of your health, right? Your mind is in control, not your passions, not emotions, right? Not the good, effective marketing of food corporations and the conventional wisdom that suggests, you know, without water, this and that's going to happen to you. I mean, the companies that sell water bottles have inserted that idea in our heads that you got to keep hydrating, you got to keep hydrating, you got to keep hydrating. And people are walking around with their water bottles, you know, contributing to the big environmental mess that we have in this country. It's just marketing, right? At the end of the day, you can survive with a lot less. You know, I'm not saying go on thirsty, you know, all year long, but it's okay to refrain from desires for 10 hours a day. You'll survive, you know, nothing's going to happen to you. And we have a living proof in 1.6
Especially
billion
if it is
Muslims.
an order from God.
A command from God. You know, I mean, as men and women of faith, you know, obviously this is what we believe, that God's commands are in our best interest. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, even to, you know, some of your audience that is not Muslim, you know, the idea that we have to eat this much or drink that much every day to stay healthy is just a sham. And you know, going back to your original point about other religions that practice fasting, I mean, there's fasting in Judaism. Fasting in Christianity is actually a little tougher than fasting in Islam. It's just most Christians don't observe it. I was invited to the Orthodox Church, the Greek Orthodox Church in Roseville, and you know, they told me. I mean, I grew up in Egypt, and so we were surrounded by Orthodox Christians. They fast every day. They're supposed to fast every day, the same way we do, right? But then when they break their fast, they can only eat like vegetarian food for 40 days or 50 days or something like that. Now, most Christians don't observe that, but there is that legacy of fasting in all Abrahamic religions. However, the forms might change a little bit.
Even in history, a lot of people dealt with the spiritual thing with fasting. Like it goes with the touch of feeling hungry or thirsty. I don't think about my desire. I think about what I'm talking with as connect with God or spiritual or something.
And that's why they call it fasting. I mean, like fasting from being steadfast. You know, it has to do with patience. It has to do with perseverance, right? It has to do with discipline. And so in the Quran, there are stories about how Maryam, you know, Mary, you know, the mother of Jesus, her form of fasting was refraining from talking to people. Which, quite frankly, is a lot harder than refraining from food.
I was trying to ask you.
If you go on for 3 days, you know, not talking to anybody, I mean, that'll teach you a lot. I think it's a remarkable thing, but we don't do that anymore because we're constantly busy, you know, chattering our ways with other people. And so you see those different forms of fasting in previous traditions. And you know, fasting in Ramadan is definitely no exception to that.
And what we have in the month of Ramadan at Salam for public or for service.
Oh my God! I mean, Ramadan is our busiest month, and so I was just talking to, you know, some folks before I came to the studio, and I was telling them this Ramadan I'm expected to prepare 42 30-minute talks, right? 42. 25 or 26, you know, in the evening, and I have 4 Friday sermons, right? So that makes it 30, and I have about 10 appearances I need to make around the community in the month of Ramadan, interfaith activities and stuff like that. So that makes it, you know, 40 or 41 or 42. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's over 40 talks and lectures that I need to prepare just for the month of Ramadan.
That's wonderful, but
it's not very wonderful when
you can look
when you
at
are
me,
in my shoes.
I'm getting scared too. Who will
if you're in my shoes,
will,
it's not.
Who will edit? Who will?
Yeah, you're going to be taping a lot of that, so I know the brunt is going to fall on you.
Let's talk about the programs after the break, because I know you have a lot of programs at Salam beside the Ramadan programs.
Definitely.
So we'll give our viewers some ideas, and maybe they can share some items. So let's talk about the programs in general after the break, and we'll see you soon. So we always have excited stories from Imam Azeez, because his plans and his program he is full of energy, you can tell. And he has a lot of things to offer for the community, and that's why we'd like to tell you about what they have at Salam Center as community center, and you might share some part of those activity with him. So what do you have for this year?
Well, you know, we're an Islamic center. I mean, we're a mosque, and so the Sacramento Area League of Associated
Across
Muslims.
with
That's what the
college.
yeah, it's what the acronym stands for, and we are across from American River College, and so we're very easy to find. You know, the dome and the architecture is just very, very noticeable.
First, about Ramadan. I think you have dinner.
So we, because people are fasting in Ramadan, and so there is an iftar or dinner every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of every week. This is open to the community. Anyone shows up. There's usually a family or that sponsors the iftar every night, and so you know, it's free.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Whoever like to stop by and share that dinner.
Absolutely, you can be with us. It's at 8:30, and so you know, anyone is usually more than welcome to come. And then after that, we go for the prayer, the nightly prayer, which is a very important component of the month of Ramadan. And this goes for about an hour and a half, interrupted by a short talk, which is more often than not, you know, not very short. Usually 25-minute talk
it's
every
a good
night.
Gathering after
I mean, you have
day
on
fasting.
average about 500-600 people, you know, at Salam every night, and this is the case with most mosques, really. And so this is our Ramadan program this year. One of those nights, I think it's a Tuesday, I don't remember the date, is our interfaith iftar. We invite our interfaith partners, you know, elected officials, just our friends in the wider community that are not Muslim. Just so that they taste a piece of Ramadan with us. And of course, we have the youth program in Ramadan. We have a children's. This year, we're introducing a children's program because on average, we usually have, you know, close to 100 kids, young kids at Salam every night. And, you know, sometimes going upstairs for prayer is not the most exciting thing for them. So we want to make sure that their time is occupied well, and they're still getting some good spirituality from the month of Ramadan as well. Our Eid gathering, which is the celebration immediately after Ramadan, draws about between 3,000 to 4,000 people, and it's so huge that we don't do it at Salam anymore. We actually go to a sports center, and we invite the entire community to join us from all the mosques and all the Islamic centers, Muslim and otherwise, you know, to come join us as well.
This year?
I mean, I don't remember the address. I know how to get there, but this will be announced on our website and everything, and our Facebook page, you know, very, very soon. So this is basically for Ramadan. Immediately before Ramadan, and I know that this show might actually tape after the event, might be shown after the event, but I just wanted to mention this anyway because I think this is a remarkable experience for our community. I mean, this is the flyer right here, and this is an entertainment event that we are putting together for the first time. I can't think of a mosque anywhere in the nation that has done this before. And we are inviting talent from the Muslim community, local and otherwise, to come, you know, perform at this particular event in order to, you know, sort of like showcase the talent in the Muslim community. So there will be spoken word artists, you know, poets, singers, people who perform on instruments, stand-up comedy, and stuff like that. And the primary purpose, I think, for this is that we want the community, the wider community, our community, you know, primarily, to have a fun evening. You know, halal, permissible, clean entertainment that is good for the family, right? Which is quite rare to find, honestly, in this day and age. You know, just like
halal
G-rated.
meaning clean.
Yes, I mean,
whoever will hear halal, they will think about meat halal.
They think about halal meat, you're right. No, I mean clean, permissible, just
Yeah,
like
no bad words or
Islamically
nothing.
appropriate.
Yes, with moral.
Which is just a universal thing. Every
Yes.
family is looking for something clean. For the family to
Yeah, we
enjoy.
miss that.
It
We
has
miss
become
that.
so difficult to find that this G-rated stuff, and we wanted to offer that to our Muslim community primarily, but we also wanted to invite our non-Muslim friends to come and experience Islamic culture and see how diverse and how beautiful and how profound its contribution was to humanity and to history and so forth. Be it the spoken word or musical traditions or whatever it is, we wanted to basically show that to our community as well, so that the narrative is not constantly about negative things, right? When was the last time you associated the word Muslim with a good musical performance on stage, right? And so we want to break that trend and just be proactive about changing that image. So this is going to be a very exciting event on June 15th.
I have to give a credit to Access Sacramento with that
I
event.
think Access is coming to tape this event.
Yes,
You're
but
right.
I believe after you have been at that talent show for Access Sacramento, it comes to your mind, this idea, because it wasn't in your mind before.
Well, I'm not going to respond to that.
No, I have to give that credit because I know we went to that talent show and you were there. Imam,
it was a good event.
Dr. Amir.
Yes.
And it was a great event, and it gives the idea that it might be a good idea for youth and the talent show, which is
but
great.
I mean, this is
That's
not
the connection between other cultures.
Right.
That's
but
good.
This is not a talent show. I got to say. I mean, those are professional performers who are, they have been doing it for so many years. So we're not necessarily just exposing talent.
No, but
we're showcasing people who are in the field already.
You are bringing to the scene, to the public, something unusual compared to the Muslim world. Right. And this is in America first time. And it comes after that show at the same place, in Crest Theater.
At the Crest Theater.
That's why it is a good idea when you open to other. You learn, and we exchange information, and that's what you're doing. Great job. But I have to give Access Sacramento that.
We'll give Access credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else you have?
Well, we also have a series of lectures that are coming up after Ramadan. But I think what's unique about our lecture series this time is that we have transformed the content from lecture style, which Access has covered and broadcasted in the past many times. We wanted to make this into a talk show style, right? So rather than just me holding the microphone, standing on the podium, lecturing everybody, I wanted to make it more interactive, bring a live audience to our auditorium back at Salam, but also have guests on the stage, 3 cameras and really like nice theatrics, and deliver a good show that is informative, that is entertaining, that is spiritual, that is humorous, and also a material that's going to be available to broadcast on the internet and so forth. So we're very excited about this, and it addresses, again, the series has to do with exploring beauty in Islamic tradition, and we've been working on this for months, and the debut of this series will be sometime in early September.
That's wonderful. And I heard that you did films.
Well, that was a little project of mine that I've been thinking about for so many years, and I finally got a chance to do it. I worked with a very close friend of mine who's a filmmaker that lives in Michigan. I invited him to come all the way to Sacramento. He spent a week with us, and we hired like a couple of professional cameramen, with their $15,000 cameras, and they followed us for an entire day, and we shot 3 videos. And I'm not gonna ruin the surprise and tell everyone what it's about, but it's basically 3 4-minute videos or 5-minute videos, very concentrated, very fast-paced, and they are designed to deliver a particular message of universal appeal to everyone, regardless of what their faith is. And we're very excited about this. We are in the post-production phase right now, so we're taking a little time, putting all the footage together and trying to come up with this beautiful, exciting, and compelling theme about the video. So it'll be released soon. I'll give you guys a copy once we have the final product.
It badly. We will broadcast it too.
Definitely.
Other things about social things in beside Ramadan.
Well, I mean, we have our family night program. Every Friday night at 6:30. This too is open to the public. We usually have a different speaker every Friday night, coming from a different perspective, different walk of life, sharing their own experience. So sometimes we have a UC Davis professor, or we have a real estate agent or a computer engineer, just sharing with us their experience, benefiting us and benefiting our community from the knowledge that they possess. So this happens every Friday night. In addition to our ongoing youth programs, adult education programs, all the information is usually available on our website, on the Salam Facebook page, and which is, I think it's facebook.com/salam, and also it's available on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Imam Azeez. All this information is usually there for people to grab.
And beside, you have school.
Of course, I mean we have a full-time elementary school following the California curriculum, but it also teaches Arabic and Islamic studies. We have about 90 plus students now enrolled in the school, including my 3 kids, by the way, at different grades.
Levels,
But the school has done an amazing job putting the kids at that level where they're aware of their religion, aware of their social responsibilities. It's been an amazing experience.
That's what I like at Salam, and through your direction as a director, you mix and you show the whole world with as Muslim people that Islam is not take you away from life. Islam is part of your life, and if you follow the rules, you will be better person in general for life. Not just as a Muslim, you have to cover yourself, keep yourself with the beard and praying, and that's it.
Right.
That's what I like, because Islam is program for humanity on earth.
It's supposed to make your life better.
Yes.
And make
as
you a
any
better
other
human
religion,
being.
but to follow direction, that's all.
Right.
But I'm lucky to have you actually as Imam at Salam to give me a chance to use your performance and things as educational things for my viewers, to address Islamic issues, appealing stories also for everybody, which I like it.
So it was a pleasure to be here.
Give a chance to my viewers to know more about Islam.
Thank you.
And on behalf of my viewers, actually, I would like to thank you for coming.
So it was a pleasure.
And thank you for that information and the knowledge what you gave us at
Thank
this
you for having me.
show. And we'll have you some other times.
Definitely.
For you, my viewers, hopefully that you learned something about Islam today. And if you like something, you can share events. You can go to the website. You can go, I will give you the whole information. What is the website?
Salamcenter.org.
Salamcenter.org. And there is Facebook, I heard. We'll give you the whole information, and you follow direction. You call when you want to. Stop by if you want to. You will learn something. You will share an event or dinner at Ramadan time, and you are more than welcome. I'll let you go with this message, and we'll see you next time.